processing it, the feelings and the football, right? We asked you guys how you're feeling in the aftermath. It's painful, and it's a wasted season. It was a 1 seed. It was the number 1 offense, and they committed 5 turnovers. Yeah, I mean, you have every right to be sad, angry, you feel cheated, feel empty, because now all for what? John, to me, the game came down to, and you've said this, games always kind of come down to a couple key pivotal plays, right? You know, players will look back and go, one play here, one play there. To me, I want to focus on 3 plays. The first has already been mentioned today. 3rd and 1, empty set. You're gashing them on the ground. Instead of going up 14-3, it's a sack fumble. It's a tone setter. They just weren't locked in. The second one to me is the pick 6. Your D's gutted. Everybody knows it. You're going to have to score a bunch. You can't also be giving up touchdowns when you're on offense. Impossible to win that way. And the third one to me was the 12 men on the field, no timeout. That was a death blow. Up to that point, hey, you're kind of hanging in. You're taking their best shot. You're counter-punching. You're still in this thing. You come out of half, stop, score. You're in this thing, right? It's 3-point game, 4th and 2. Crowd's getting on their feet. This is it. It's where we make our stand. And we can't count to 11. Actually, what makes it worse is we can count to 11, and we don't call a timeout anyway. So while I know Dan says my fault and he's not responsible for everything, he's absolutely responsible for not calling a timeout there. That's indefensible, inexcusable.
Yeah, and I mean, I go over that one too, and it's not just, the coach has got to be able to see that, and whether it's somebody screaming on the sideline, coach is the one that can call the timeout. You can also have a timeout on the field, and whether it's Anzalone, it's Campbell, the defensive set. And you should have an awareness. You kind of do that mental checklist every time you're on the field. And that's where I'm not going to say it's Anzalone's fault, but he needs to have that awareness as well, that you have this awareness of how many guys are on the field. And you can also call that timeout. You see that we have an extra man that is, hey, we got 2 guys covering 1 guy. Like whatever it is, there's something in your mind. I was always that guy on offense, and it's a little bit easier because you huddled up.
Yeah.
And it's, hey, okay, we got 5 offensive linemen. We got too many guys in the huddle. Timeout. Right? That's where you have to have that awareness. It's all about checks and balances. Has to come from the coach. You see that there's 12 guys on the field. It's timeout. It also can be done with players on the field where you know that there's 12 guys on the field. That's part of, you've done this for 17 games.
You got Brady in the booth who sees it 10 seconds before it's even called. Like an eternity.
That's my point.
An eternity. You are a professional football coach. This is it. Why let the play happen? You're just asking for them to throw the flag at that point. Why are you willfully giving them a first down? You have to. I know these timeouts are golden. That's what he said to TJ after the game. You don't want to burn timeouts in the second half because you may need them at the end. You need them right now because you're not about to go down 10 here and rally. You can't keep doing this.
Well, it's about the situation. It's 4th down.
Yeah.
And if you don't call the timeout, they automatically get a first down. What do you think is going to happen? You give them a fresh set of downs inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You got to make your stand. You burn a timeout there. It sucks. Nobody wants to. Ideally, you avoid 12 guys on the field before the snap. You got to call a timeout there. John, it's not the biggest reason, but it was just indicative of the day they had, where these mistakes we hadn't seen all season. False starts from the offensive line, turnovers from Goff in concert with a beat-up defense. It was the perfect storm. They played the worst brand of football they could have possibly played. And if you ask me to distill it to one thing, to me, I would put the most blame on the turnovers. And I thought it was proven out in the other games this weekend, where the Rams commit a couple second-half turnovers. They have a decent defense, pretty good defense. Didn't matter, you can't overcome turnovers. The Ravens played a hell of a game in Buffalo. Can't overcome 3 turnovers. Even if Detroit had Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Carlton Davis, 5 turnovers in a playoff game. So I know the injuries are going to come up today. To me, the biggest reason is the turnovers.
Yeah. You give a team like that more opportunities. You allow them to convert on 4th down without even taking a snap. Defense struggled to stop them on a regular basis. That's why the timeout on fourth down was one where you just simply take it because you give them a fresh set of downs. Now they're expected to stop. You might get a stop on a fourth down versus you give them the ball, fresh set of downs inside the 5-yard line. Not likely that you stop and keep them out of the end zone.
248-539-9797. Let's get to Steve in Plymouth. Steve, you're on 97.1.
Good morning, guys. Boy, there's not enough time in the day today to discuss this game, but I'm listening to you guys, and you guys were kind of making my point. Jared Goff played bad. We even with his 2 turnovers or the 2 interceptions in the first half, we're still supposed to win that game. And what I don't understand is, at what point does Dan Campbell say to Ben Johnson, run the ball?
Right.
They ran the ball 23 times. Jahmyr Gibbs had 105 yards on 14 carries. Do the math.
Yeah, 10 a pop.
7 yards a carry. I don't understand why we were still throwing the ball 3 times. Despite everything that happened, 3 times the Lions went down, scored, got within 3 points. And yet the defense, the Commanders went right back down the field all 3 times and scored a touchdown. So having said that, bad defense today, bad Jared Goff today. We're running the ball as well as you can run the ball against the 30th ranked run defense in football. Why are we throwing the football? I don't.
Steve, you're right, because the run game has always been the answer, the elixir, right? Keep your defense off the field, help your offensive line engage, keep Jared Goff clean. And Steve, your point is they wouldn't even be forcing it. It was working. It was there. They ran for 201 yards in the football game.
It couldn't work well enough.
I know.
It was like a well-oiled machine running the football. They scored. They went right back down, got down to the 16, and then we had to get cute. Yeah. Despite whether he fumbled the ball or not, they put him in a position to get blindsided and fumble the ball. I'm sorry. Run the frickin' football.
Agreed with that.
People talk, I hear Dan Campbell all the time. As long as we win by 1 point. And then I hear people talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, they just barely win. You know what?
They win.
That defense had 7 sacks on Saturday. They blocked the field goal, blocked an extra point. They were prepared on defense. Our defense was horrible.
Yep.
And so compounding that with Jared Goff's bad play, at what point does Dan Campbell just take charge and say, let's run the football, give the defense the break, and let's do what we're doing best? I'm sorry.
Steve, you don't have to apologize for anything today.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how we do this. We talk through it.
Yeah. And the emotions are all over the place right now. They're all over it for us. They're all over it for you.
You caught yourself getting fired up 8 minutes into the show. He's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're doing some deep breathing off air.
I know. It's just because I'm in the anger phase because of the opportunity that they did all the hard work. They set themselves up for the best opportunity. Dan Campbell talked about it at the beginning of the year. You start with the end goal in mind. That's a Super Bowl. How do you get there the best way? Well, you get the 1 seed. You win the division. You do all of these things. They checked all the boxes.